Hello dear friends of the gallery. Today we are talking about Christof Mascher's exhibition Where You Go, There You Are. The exhibition is on view only until mid-December. To all of you who have not managed to come, we want to introduce the exhibition in this film. On our webpage you can also download the dossier on the exhibition. There you will find all information about the works as well as a text on the show and Mascher's oeuvre, written by the art historian Dr. Marietta Franke. Christof Mascher was born in 1979. He studied with Walter Dahn at the Braunschweig University of Art until 2009, when he graduated. However, when one sees Mascher's paintings and works on paper and compares them to the works by Walter Dahn, a close proximity or relation is not readily apparent. It consists, however, in the fact that Mascher, like Dahn, takes a poetic, and I know that this is a dangerous term, an unfinished attitude to painting, an attitude that leaves room for the viewer's associations and thoughts. Also, there are no more or less theoretical pictorial concepts behind Mascher's painting, with which he takes a stand, for example, on questions of representation through painting, or on other theoretical and practical parameters of painting. It is not to be assumed that he is fundamentally uninterested in such concepts, but rather that he does not introduce or implement them in his painting. The title of the exhibition, Wohin du gehst, bist, dann, or in English, Where You Go, There You Are, accordingly also leads into an open void. For Mascher, it suggests an indeterminate path and future perspective. The openness stands for a state of speechlessness or subconscious acting. Mascher is not primarily concerned with the visible contents of the pictures. These serve him rather as a means of transport for the application of color through brushstrokes, lines and other painting gestures, and the forms and surfaces thus created. In view of his past as a sprayer, Mascher considers painting and drawing as a preferred way of thinking and as an attitude towards the world. Those who have already seen films on this channel may wonder why I do not focus primarily, unlike usual, on specific works of art, and why I have attempted a more general description of Christof Mascher's artistic approach beforehand. However, this has exactly to do with the described openness. It leads to the fact that one should first and foremost look and sense the images instead of trying to understand them through cognitive, theory-based arguments. So let's have a look at some examples from the exhibition that show what this approach can lead to. We see Haus Gropius and Never Worry, Never Sorry, two works, a painting in oil and acrylic on canvas, as well as a work on watercolor paper in acrylic and watercolor. They clearly show master houses that Walter Gropius had designed for the Bauhaus Dessau for himself and his colleagues. But in what colors? So far away from a realistic representation in terms of colors that one really can't believe that this was meant as a discussion, analysis, debate about or even homage to Gropius architecture. Rather, exactly what Mascher himself indicated takes place, an abstracted depiction, and I mean abstraction in the literal sense of a depiction in which the representation of reality is subtracted to some extent from the depiction, ultimately becomes almost a color field painting with forms, surfaces and colors. This interplay between depiction or description and abstract openness is, however, very appealing. We do not experience boring unambiguity here. Another remarkable case is the work Skywise. Here we see gravestones of a cemetery, probably gravestones from the 19th century, and a few isolated plants growing around these gravestones in a body of water. The whole thing looks as if the cemetery had been flooded. In fact, however, the two elements that characterize the picture, cemetery and water, have nothing to do with each other in real life. So here is not, for example, a situation in a cemetery in the Ahr Valley in the summer of 2021 represented, but Mascher has two completely separate situations deliberately connected with each other. I may talk out of school and report that he first wanted to show motorboats of the so-called Trump Boat Parade, which took place in September 2020 on Lake Travis in Texas. At that parade, 4 motorboats, manned by Trump supporters and decorated as such, had been submerged. and that went viral at the time. In the process of painting this, Mascher decided to paint over the motorboats, transforming them into tombstones and thus putting the element of the cemetery in the lake. We are dealing here with an artistic decision that is not primarily guided by strategic considerations with regard to the conceptuality or content statement of the work. Rather, what mattered to Mascher here was painting a good picture and spontaneously following the impulse of his personal intuition. Other decisions in the painting processes are, for example, to put a small glaring red circle in the window of the small house in the work Forever People, which appears to be wedged between two larger houses, as if a lamp was shining in the window. While this could be a signal that someone is waiting for someone behind the window in the room, there is no further evidence for such an assumption. And it is precisely not a lamp, but a circle that hovers there as an attention-grabbing element. But this circle works in the picture like a magic point of attraction. To the left of the small house stands a large house which, with the exception of a few structuring lines, is painted orange through and through. Its front facade seems to open like a curtain or a gate, revealing a staircase-like, perhaps wooden structure. This is how one can assume. But it is always a matter of associations, assumptions, thoughts that develop in view of the pictures. We, the viewers, are not given clear, unambiguous signifiers. Neon orange is the color that dominates the stolen song. Just as little as the blue tones of Haus Gropius, the garish orange tones have a realistic counterpart in reality. Rather, they are artistic settings that interest Christof Mascher because he can deal with color and form compositional things by way of alienation. For example, the fact that the colors orange and light blue are in a complementary relationship to each other. With a long moment, one last painting should be mentioned here after all. It is, with about 195 by 250 centimeter, a large painting, which shows a summery river and forest landscape. It almost seems like a dream landscape, or at least like a landscape that one would like to imagine. The light-filled atmosphere is reminiscent of paintings by Raoul Dufy and leads, one can say, to a good mood. But even here, where perhaps the least alienation effects are used and the most realistic colors are employed, the picture is determined by Christof Mascher's artistic will. This becomes clear in many things, but especially in the tree painted diagonally through the picture, whose top and bottom remain hidden from us, which at the same time has a function of dividing the picture into two halves and dynamizing the surface. And in this context, that of the will to art, it is also worth mentioning the wonderful way in which Mascher has painted the small-scale plants and leaves. With this exhibition ends on December 17 an episode of this gallery that then lasted exactly 16 years and 9 months, and that had begun with our first ever exhibition, which was inaugurated on March 17, 2006, here in Aachener Straße. Philipp von Rosen Gallery will continue from April 2023 in downtown Cologne. In the 3 months in between, we will keep you updated on our artists on Instagram, YouTube and Facebook, as well as through newsletters. On April 21st, 2023, the opening of our new space and our first exhibition in it will take place. We want to start this new chapter with a group exhibition featuring all of the artists of our gallery. Save the date. We look forward to it, and we hope you do too. Thank you, have a happy holiday season, and all the best for 2023.